step will be for satellite technology.
I see that ComSat's already making a Earth station small enough to be carried as hand luggage, well, almost, about 70 pounds. And I think in the next decade, almost any businessman and journalist will have a small attaché case which he'll be able to contact his home office directly through satellites and be independent of any terrestrial communication system. And think how essential, how valuable this is going to be, particularly in the lesser developed parts of the world.
As his insights within the realm of communications continue, so do his projections on space. Dr. Clark foresees the permanent colonization of the moon and also an international cooperative effort to explore Mars and beyond.
Until now, men have talked only to men. But by 2076, before the telephone is 100 years older, we may have completed the ultimate long-distance call to our unknown neighbors across the gulfs of space. All this is possible if people really want it. For technology is not an end in itself. It exists to provide us with what we want. It is our servant, not our master. It can immensely enrich and enlarge life on this planet.
Today marks a very special day in the remarkable career of Dr. Arthur C. Clarke, often considered the father of satellite communications technology and perhaps the best-known writer of science fiction in the world. For today is Dr. Clarke's 70th birthday, and at the age of 70, when most men have retired, Dr. Clarke remains more active than ever in exploring the frontiers of man's scientific capability and spiritual potential. Today is not only Dr. Clarke's birthday, it's also the day on which Sri Lanka's Arthur C. Clarke Center for Modern Technologies presents its annual award for outstanding contributions to the development of satellite communication technology. The Clarke Center, created in 1984 by an act of the Sri Lankan Parliament, was inspired by Dr. Clarke's vision of modern technology harnessed for the future benefit of all mankind. Today, through the very technology which was once only Dr. Clarke's dream, we're privileged to have joining us in Colombo the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, His Excellency President J.R. Jayawardena. We're also pleased to welcome Professor John R. Pierce of Stanford University, a pioneer in the development of the ECHO and Telstar satellite systems, and this year's recipient of the Arthur C. Clarke Award. Professor Willie Mendes, Vice Chairman and Director of the Arthur C. Clarke Center for Modern Technologies and Vice Chancellor of the University of Moratuwa. Dr. Stanley Kalpage, Chairman of the Board of Governors of the Clarke Center, Secretary of the Sri Lankan Ministry of Higher Education, and the Chairman of the University Grants Commission. And last but not least, Dr. Arthur C. Clarke himself, patron of the Arthur C. Clarke Center for Modern Technologies and Chancellor of the University of Moratuwa. We'd also like to acknowledge the fact that here in our studio this morning is the Sri Lankan Ambassador to the United States. Professor Jayawardena, would you like to say a few words this morning? President Jayawardena?
I wish to convey my greetings to Ambassador Dialvis, the panelists, and the audience in Washington. I'm very pleased that this dialogue using satellite communication technology has brought us together, although we are actually separated by thousands of kilometers. It is a clear demonstration of the impact and benefit of communication technologies as envisaged by Dr. Arthur C. Clarke. I have directed that institution building be commenced in Sri Lanka in the modern technologies to guide the destinies of this nation in the coming decade and in the 21st century. The Arthur C. Clarke Center for Modern Technologies is one such institution, established also as a tribute to the vision of Dr. Arthur C. Clarke. I'm glad that the Arthur C. Clarke Center will be involved in the development of the International Space University. My government has accepted in principle to extend the fullest cooperation to this laudable venture and has appointed the Arthur C. Clarke Center as the national liaison for ISU. I'm also pleased that Dr. Arthur C. Clarke has proposed the idea of an international monitoring satellite to promote peace in this world. I fully endorse this idea and hope that all nations will accept this peacemaking device in space. Sri Lanka will make a total commitment to mark 1992 a meaningful international space year. I see space technology-led development activities as a potential means of alleviating the very serious problems facing the developing world. I wish, therefore, to commend the involvement of the International Space University with the Arthur C. Clarke Center in realizing the goals of the International Space Year in 1991. It is most fitting that a pioneering event such as this dialogue has been possible on the birthday of Dr. Arthur C. Clarke. I wish him a very happy birthday and will also take this opportunity of congratulating Dr. John Robinson Pierce, the recipient of the 1987 Arthur C. Clarke Award. Thank you.
President Jayawardena, Your Excellency, thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce our distinguished panel here in Washington. First, Dr. Joseph N. Pelton, Director of Special Studies and Projects for Intelsat, the International Satellite Consortium. Dr. Pelton played a leading role in the organization of the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation of the United States and currently serves as its Managing Director. Mr. Todd B. Hawley, Administrator of the International Space University, which opens its doors next summer to a select group of students from around the world. And Frederick C. Durant III, Executive Director of the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation of the United States and former Assistant Director of the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, welcome to WorldNet. I'd like to ask our Washington panelists to make a few brief remarks in honor of Dr. Clarke and Dr. Pierce. Mr. Durant, would you start?
First of all, happy birthday, Arthur, from myself, Pip, all the family, and your many friends who know that this special day was coming up. I saw Isaac Asimov last weekend in New York, and he asked me specifically to extend his very best wishes and mentioned that his 68th birthday was coming up 2nd of January. Dr. Pierce, I'd like also to just send my congratulations to you and for the lecture award that is taking place today, and the wonderful trip that you and Mrs. Pierce had on your way to Sri Lanka. The Communications Satellite Corporation of the United States, the American member of the International Satellite Corporation, is sponsoring this lecture series, and we're very pleased.